In our last discussion video, we talked about what you can actually do with social media automation services like Crowdfire and Unfollowers. I determined that I find no real value in these services. So why is it that YouTubers who are using them seem to be doing so well? Well, obviously this is all dependent on how you define well. There are many different answers for this, but the most popular one lately has been you need to look at average view duration. You need to look at audience retention. That gives us a certain idea of how the channel is doing and more specifically the content of the channel. But in my opinion, it doesn't really provide that much data as far as how the growth of the channel is going. I'm interested in knowing how healthy the channel's growth is. And for that, we're going to look at views and subscribers. More specifically, the growth or change in each compared to the other. Before we proceed, I'd like to say, I love statistics. If I had changed my major to something else in college, it would have been statistics. Because I love statistics so much, I feel the need to let you know that my findings are not based on a large enough pool of data to really provide anything substantial or legitimate. This is simply data that backs up my observations. This is me showing that I have the numbers to back up what I've been feeling. And that feeling is that I don't want a fast-growing channel, I want a healthy growing channel. But now we have a new ambiguous term that we need to define. What does it mean for your channel to have healthy growth? Well, the definition I've come up with is that healthy growth is when your channel has equal growth in views and in subscribers. For every subscriber you gain, you should also gain views. If the growth of one exceeds the growth of the other, you've got a problem. There's an imbalance. If you're growing more in views and less in subs, that means that the people are showing up and finding your videos, but they don't like it enough to subscribe. If you're growing more in subscribers and less in views, that shows you're getting the people to subscribe, but they aren't actually watching your videos. Neither of these scenarios are healthy. So, in order to determine the health of a channel, we need to compare the percentage of subscriber growth with the percentage of view growth. The closer they are to each other, the healthier the channel. I began by looking through my direct messages on Twitter. I selected anyone who sent me an automated direct message within the last month. I then used Social Blade to look at their YouTube channel statistics for the last month. Through Social Blade, I'm able to obtain their subscriber growth and their view growth. Obviously, there's a lot more data that could be used in this analysis. The activity and consistency of the channel within the last month, the quality of the content, or even the quality of the content creator's interactions with his viewers. I took note of a few of these things simply by glancing through their channels, and I'll mention them as it applies. However, this data was not included in this project because many of it is subjective, so it's not really measurable anyways. Out of the 8 channels I found who had sent me automated direct messages from the last month, I looked at their numbers and I split them up into categories. The first group scored relatively close to 0. These channels scored 10.01%, 11.35%, and negative 13.60%. That negative number simply means that that specific channel was gaining subs faster than it was gaining views. These numbers don't seem bad at first glance, but at this point we really don't have a guide for what good or bad is. So let's look at the next group. They were a bit higher at negative 20.71% and 22.2%. Again, we don't really know what that means, we just know it's farther from 0 and therefore not as good as the first group. The next two scored 33.0% and 44.48%. The final person in the group really amazed me. Their views skyrocketed up about 365%. However, their subscribers only grew by about 25%. This led to his growth score being 335.83%. He got the views, but he didn't make a lasting impression apparently. Maybe this is from a viral video, but I didn't really see anything that looked like that to me. So we've got scores of 10.1, 11.35, 13.6, 20.71, 22.2, 33, 44.48, and 335.83. But we still don't really know what any of those numbers mean. I then decided to throw myself into the mix. I had a subscriber change of 15.83 and a view change of 18.93, which gives me a health score of 3.10. That makes me feel better, but I'm still not quite sure if that's a sign that it's really good or bad. So I set aside my number and didn't include it in the results. I then thought about my Let's Play buddies, the people I interact with in an authentic way. These are people that share my disdain for automation. I thought long and hard about who I thought would score the best. Who do I respect so much for how their channel has grown that I think I've figured out the system and I can clearly say they're going to score really well? I pretty quickly decided my answer to this question would be a YouTuber named Randomized User. It turns out I was right. He scored 0.91%. Then I realized, it's not fair to stop there. I'm pitting my best YouTuber against these 8 content creators. So I started going through my other YouTuber friends, and I found some pretty amazing data. The numbers I got were 0.22, negative 0.29, negative 0.91, negative 2.67, negative 4.33, 4.84, 6.43, 7.75, negative 9.05, 9.28, and 9.49. I only had one friend score higher than a 10. Ironically, it's my best buds over at Games Played Terribly who scored a 16.31. There's bound to be an outlier though, so that's understandable. I also decided to look at a number of few big YouTubers and found similar results. Etho, Boogie, and B-Dubs scored 1.14, 1.26, and 1.77. The more channels I added to the data, the happier I got. The more my theory was right. It's pretty clear to me that you will have a healthier channel if you do things for yourself, rather than relying on automation and spamming tactics. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you think I've left anything out of this data, please let me know. If you have a different way to define a healthy channel growth, let me know. But to me, it's pretty concrete. If your views and your subscribers grow at the same rate, if their percentage of growth is the same, that means you're doing something right.